In this video, I'm breaking down the top 13 middles in D3 men's volleyball. Let's get right into it. This video is part 2 of the series breaking down the top players heading into the 2026 Division III men's volleyball season. The first video we covered outsides and opposite hitters, and in this one we're breaking down the best middles returning for 2026. A lot of good middles exiting the landscape last season, and Ryan Givens, Ian Rauh, Griffin Stella, Ryan Cholewinski. The names go on, but there are plenty of talented middles returning to the landscape this season. Before we get into the main list, I want to mention a couple honorable mentions that didn't quite make the top 13, but definitely guys to key in on and watch this season. And those guys are Bo Brainerd III, Emmanuel Cochran, Ryan Murphy, Seth Richards, and Caden Strong. Some of them had really good stats last year. Some of them were kind of hovering the radar, but I think these are some guys that are going to take a big step up from last year to this year in terms of production, and we'll see where they land at the end of the year in terms of their stats, but definitely some guys to look out for. Now we'll break down the list of the top 13 middles returning in D3, with the first being number 13, Brennan Cutter from Springfield College. You put on the tape for this guy and he is an absolute villain. 6'9", rising junior for the Pride. Chris Rouleau, the one major big loss for the Springfield team that made it all the way to the national championship last year. And Brennan's the guy in the middle that returns, and I think with his frame, his ability to block, his athleticism, I think his numbers take a massive jump this year. He was incredibly efficient last year, hitting 405 with 69 blocks as well to go along with that. But I think those numbers go up even further as he gets a lot more touches in Rouleau's absence. At number 12 on the list from Rutgers Newark, we have Massimo Rocco, the rising sophomore, second team All-CVC last year and the rookie of the year for the conference as well. He clicked with Derek all season long, just like pretty much all Rutgers offensive weapons did last season. So I'm excited to see how he not only takes a leap this year in terms of his stats, but also connecting with the new setter and how that kind of trickles out. But really solid freshman campaign for Rocco. He performed throughout the whole season. He joins a list of really strong middles coming out of Rutgers from the past couple of years. At number 11, we have Ben Clendening from Misericordia, the rising senior, 6'6" middle, had really strong stats last year, 449 with 123 kills. He was second team all-conference in the MAC, played his whole campaign with Gannon Dufresne, which is another player that I got the pleasure of coaching at Emmaus High School. Ben kind of suffered from the talent that just waved through the MAC last season, and Piontowski, Flanagan, Kagoro, all of Stevens' weapons, and fell into that second conference spot, but he's definitely a first-team caliber player. You look at the numbers, I think he takes that jump up this season to first team in the MAC, and we'll see if he can do it on the national stage with a lot more weapons on this Misericordia team. You wonder how the volume is going to be broken down between Ugle and Knapp on those pin positions, but I think Clendening's certainly a player that blocks at a high level and is going to hit really efficiently. So look to see him to have a strong senior year and hope to push this Misericordia team further and further in their conference. Next up at number 10, we have Adam Blair from Wittenberg. He was a freshman last year and was not only a first-team all-conference selection, but he was the rookie of the year for Wittenberg. Just blew up the stat sheet, hit 432 with 181 kills, adds 66 blocks to that mix. Blair's an offensive weapon. You know he can do offensively, and that was evident. You put on the tape and watch this guy play, he's going to put the ball away. He's going to get a lot of attempts. Excited to see any player that comes in as a freshman and makes a big impact, how they grow, how they transform their game and get better in the future years. So we'll keep an eye on Blair as he heads into his sophomore year and tries to get better and better. At 9, we have Phil Van Essendelt from Randolph-Macon. Again, a really efficient year for Phil, 404 on the year, efficiency-wise. With 194 kills, he connected really well with Cody Rogan all season long, and those two are back on the squad this year, hoping to lead this Macon team back to another ODAC title. the second year of men's volleyball in that conference. So we'll look to see how those three make an impact, and specifically how Phil can continue to score and put a lot of points on the board with how efficient he is. Next at number 8, we have Kyle Ownby from UC Santa Cruz. The rising senior had a really strong year last year, hit .497 with 194 kills, one of the top hitting percentages in the country, and earned him an honorable mention All-American status for last year. You combine him in the middle with Riley Norman on the outside for his final year, and I think we could see one of the better seasons in recent history for the Banana Slugs. So keep an eye on Ownby, and definitely got to watch out on the West Coast. Next up at number 7, Nikolai Bell from Wentworth. The rising senior hit .371 with 118 kills and 53 blocks, just a balanced year, but really talented player for Wentworth. Some turnover for sure from last year to this year on this Wentworth squad, but Bell is going to be a guy that they look to for continued production and efficiency out of the middle. Another honorable mention All-American last season. We'll see if he can move that up to first or second team in 2026. At number 6, we have Chris Meller from Juniata. Chris hit .463 on the year with 121 kills, second team All-CVC. Chris is really creative and got to watch Luke Hoffman perform at an All-American level through his first 3 years. Now he steps in as a senior and has some of the same moves, some of the same routes, and he's 6'9". So really excited to see Mellor this year as a senior, what he does for Juniata, what kind of impacts he makes on his team. Next up at number 5, we have Chris Jane from SUNY New Paltz. The rising senior hit .333 last season with 184 kills and 111 blocks, one of the top blocking middles on the season last year. The UVC is a really tough conference. You play really good teams all season long. For Jane to go out there and put up 111 blocks last season, certainly a big statistic. We'll see what kind of production he can get defensively this year, with a lot of graduation to some key guys from NYU at the middle position, from Vassar with Akoto graduating. I think this is certainly a year where Jane can step up into that first team all-conference role with the level of production he had last year and the number of graduations in the conference this season. Speaking of talented middles in the UVC, at number 4, we have Armand Desai from Vassar. The rising junior was a second team All-UVC selection last year and an honorable mention All-American in 2025 as well. And he's another middle on this list that loses another really talented player to graduation in Gavin Akoto, like I just said. So it's his year to kind of step up and take on that role, and I think he's certainly going to be a guy for this Vassar squad that gets a lot of volume and a lot of production this season. At number 3, we have Caleb Proudfoot, the 6'9" senior. Hit .413 last season with 242 kills and 89 blocks. Proudfoot was first team all-conference in the pack last year. Certainly with that level of production, it makes sense why he's high on this list of middles. And I anticipate heading into his senior campaign of similar things for Proudfoot. Certainly an exciting sight for Teal to have this guy back in their roster. At number 2, we have Tyler Hoke from Stevens, the senior, who's back-to-back second team in the MAC with a .439 hitting percentage last season. Hoke has 239 blocks in his career every single year. He's been really steady, really consistent for the Stuck squad. I think it's really big with the connection with your setter, and I think last season, new setter for this team, took him a little while to get connected and fully get the number of sets that he was used to getting his first 2 seasons. But with Sherman out of the picture, I think Hoke is a guy that steps up for Stevens this year. Is a guy to look out for on the defensive front with a lot of blocking ability. And at number 1, Michael Bowler from Mount Union, the rising senior, had 3.18 points per set last year with 296 kills and 81 blocks. He was a first team all-conference selection and second team All-American. Was the offensive player of the year in his conference last year, and just a lot of accolades for Bowler. He's a physical player and does a lot well in the middle, and I think those things will certainly continue to trend as he enters his final season for the Raiders. The interesting part about Bowler is before his last 2 matches, he was hitting .517 on the season. I think 10 or 11 hitting errors in those last 2 matches that dropped that hitting percentage down to .397, but he is a really efficient player, one of the best in the country, without a doubt, and definitely a guy to keep an eye on this year to set the standard for the middle position in D3. What a series this has been, highlighting some of the best middles, outsides, setters in Division III men's volleyball. There's a ton of other athletes out there that aren't getting the recognition they deserve, and I want to make sure that everyone who's playing at an elite level in our game is getting the credit they need. So if you feel like someone is at the top of their game, at the top of their position, do let me know in the comments. I will do my best to watch some film and learn up about everyone in D3 that needs their name heard. So I challenge you to put someone in the comments that you think will have a breakout season this year, whether it's a middle, outside setter. I don't care. I will do my research on them and see what kind of season they have this year. But that's it for my middles. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.